Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I first just want to say for any Toronto Maple Leafs fans that click this video, because I'm assuming there will be plenty, yes, I'm a Rangers fan. I know the Rangers beat Toronto last night. Don't think deep into it. I'm sorry if you're bothered by this at all. I'm a Rangers fan, but I do talk about all things NHL, and obviously you clicked on the video because you saw what happened after the Rangers and Toronto game in which the Rangers won 5-3. But Toronto then quickly made a decision. Kyle Dubas came to the conclusion that, okay, Michael Hutchinson has lost his opportunity at being the backup for the Maple Leafs finally. And now they brought in Jack Campbell and Kyle Clifford from the Los Angeles Kings. In return, the Kings getting Trevor Moore, the young forward, a third round pick that Toronto had from the Columbus Blue Jackets for this year's draft, and a conditional third round pick in 2021 that becomes a second if two different scenarios happen, one or the other, or both. One being Kyle Clifford re-signs with the Maple Leafs at the end of the season, or the other being if Toronto makes the playoffs and Jack Campbell wins six regular season games with this Toronto Maple Leafs team. So overall, it definitely seems like it was a good move for Toronto, but the matter is, just how good of a move is it? And what can we expect besides this? Because I've been following Toronto for quite a bit now. What's been going on with their up and down roller coaster season between their injuries they've sustained, the goaltending not living up to the hype, not having the solidified 1A, 1B tandem, and their defense being suspect per usual. So, does this mean that these moves are going to be the only ones that will be seen? I really don't think so. So Kyle Dubas, I'm sure, is on the phone as we speak, really trying to get things figured out because they need to make more moves, and I will break that down. So, starting with Campbell, what has he done this season? Well, in 20 games played, the 28-year-old goaltender who was drafted years ago, I believe in 2012, could be wrong, by the Dallas Stars in the first round, and really never lived up to the potential of being the next stud of a goaltender, especially being drafted that high, which is why most GMs back away from drafting goaltenders that high. But Campbell has solidified himself, though, as an NHL goaltender, as a solid backup for sure. In 20 games played this year, he has 8 wins, 10 losses, 2 overtime losses, a goals allowed average of 2.85, and a save percentage of .900. So not fantastic by any means, but you should put into account just how terrible of a team the Los Angeles Kings are. Defensively speaking as well, and with their young goaltender Cal Peterson coming up, seeming like he will be the next big thing for the Kings in regards to a starter, it only made sense for them to move Campbell at some point, and now it finally happened. But Campbell, the reason why his stock has risen over not being anything at all is because of how strong of a season he had last year. In 31 games played last season, he had a save percentage of .928 and a goals allowed average of .230. So really solid. I believe he had 10 wins and 14 regulation losses. But Campbell has really proven himself as a reliable goaltender in the league. Now it's just a matter of, is this going to be enough for this Toronto team? You know, there's been plenty of rumors between them and the Rangers with Alexander Georgiev since the whole goaltending situation with the Rangers with having 3 different goaltenders with Igor Shesterkin called up not too long ago. That made rumors where Lundqvist doesn't seem like he'll be going anywhere, so Georgiev should be on the move. But the Rangers' asking price is obviously high for a guy like Georgiev, and my guess is that Dubas did not want to bite in giving up a player significant enough in return for a guy who's most likely just going to stay the backup with Toronto, at least what would have been for the foreseeable future. But Campbell was solid move, and now let's get into Kyle Clifford. This has been something that's been going on for a couple years now. I know that Dubas has been trying to get Clifford in the past, going back last season, even before then. He was an agent for Clifford a decade ago. I read in a report by Elliot Freeman, I believe, but I don't think he was the first to put that out there. But regardless, what has Clifford done this season? In 53 games played, the 29-year-old forward has 6 goals, 8 assists for 14 points, and had a career high in points last season with 21. Clifford has been doing just fine. He's, as you would expect, really just a fourth-line guy that will put up some points, but he's known for being an agitator, getting in fights when needed, and really bringing that kind of spark that this Toronto Maple Leafs team, in my opinion, desperately needs. When I watch this team, I see a ridiculous amount of talent, but they just can't seem to put it together yet. And putting the defense aside, because I will get into that, their offense alone, with Toronto being Toronto and having the type of media it has, I think it definitely has some type of effect on these players, especially with their whole core group being very young to begin with. You have a lot of different egos on this team, and a lot of times I feel like their personalities get ahead of themselves. And with Toronto, like I said, they have all the talent in the world. They should be a contending team this year without question, but they just haven't put it all together yet. And I think that adding a guy like Clifford in their bottom six is perfect for them. Bring them that agitation they desperately need, and a voice in the locker room. We have to also put in account that Clifford was with the Kings when they had their 2 cup runs. So he has the experience. He knows what it takes to win and what type of team is needed to bring a championship back home. So Clifford, I think, was honestly almost a bigger piece than Campbell. I think Campbell will be solid, but Anderson doesn't seem like he will be out long, but I know that they're just playing it safe because they are currently not in a playoff spot still, and they don't want to risk really falling out of it if, say, Anderson is out for a couple more games. So I understand the trade. I think it was a good move by Kyle Dubas, but he should not be done by any means, in my opinion. If you look at this Toronto team, their defense, they are 27th in the NHL currently in defense. They allow 3.32 goals per game. Not looking good at all, and that is something that definitely needs to be addressed. Now it's the question of what can they bring in. They obviously have a cap situation, which the Kings did help them with retaining half of Kyle Clifford's salary in this trade last night, but overall, they need to get defense. I saw that Darren Dreger just came out with this moments ago that expect Rob Blake, the GM for the Los Angeles Kings, to not be done making moves. There have been a lot of guys interested in Alec Martinez. So is Martinez a guy that the Maple Leafs can maybe consider? The only problem that I see with him is 1, the cap, and 2, the term. Is he's not a rental. Martinez has 1 year left on his contract at $4 million. And what would they be able to do to get for him? They would have to obviously get rid of one of their younger forwards, whether it be a Kapanen or a Janssen, or even possibly having the Kings retain salary, but I don't think they'd be willing to do that again, considering the fact that they already did it once. I believe that a team has a limit of only retaining salary for 2 or 3 players in a season. So I don't know, but Martinez is someone that I wouldn't be too surprised given the fact that this trade just happened, so Dubas and Blake have fared well with making deals in the past. Same thing with Jake Muzzin when Muzzin was brought into the Toronto Maple Leafs as well. There is that familiarity with them and that comfortableness, if I would say, between them two, making decisions and ultimately making a trade. So Martinez is a possibility too, but there are other guys out there, especially leading up to the trade deadline, that are cheaper that, in my opinion, Toronto needs to jump on. I don't understand why they haven't yet. Like I said, it was a good move by Dubas, without question, but this defense is without question suspect also. It's a young defense, and with injuries that they've sustained, Morgan Riley, their best defenseman, still out with injury. That is huge concern for them. And I will go back, and I'm sorry that if this bothers Toronto fans at all, but going back to when they traded for Tyson Barrie, I didn't think it was a good move. I understand the potential that Barrie can have with being a 50, 60-plus point defenseman. But at the end of the day, is that worth it with him basically being a rental? Because it doesn't seem like he will stay with Toronto. That is yet to be seen still. But then what they gave up, giving up a guy like Kadri especially, I understand Kadri causes a lot of controversy, especially in the playoffs the past couple of years with being suspended for multiple games, which a lot of fans will say goes directly in part with them losing in the first round. But still, Kadri brings that agitation, but the difference between him and Clifford is humongous. In skill level, points, everything. Kadri is a far superior player, as anyone will tell you, and brought more depth to that Toronto team, not just offensively, but defensively as well. So, like I said, that's in the past, though. We'll see what happens going forward, but that I never liked that trade from the beginning. I understand why Dubas was doing it, but in my opinion, it would have been a lot smarter to trade for not a guy like Barry, but more of a solidified defensive defenseman, because that's ultimately what this Toronto team needs. They don't need the point production from the point because they have it to begin with. With Riley in the lineup or not, they're fine. They have one of the most elite offenses in the league. The last thing that they should be worrying about at all is point production from their blue line. But that's really all I have to say. Let me know what you think. If you're a Toronto fan and you watch this video, once again, I apologize. I'm a Rangers fan, but I do like talking about every team. And it just seemed right to talk about this because this just happened last night. I was watching the game, everything. And it just seemed right to make a video on this because of, is this only the beginning or is this the best we're going to see out of Dubas? And if so, how much of a leash does Dubas continue to get if, say, Toronto misses playoffs? That is the huge question that remains to be seen. But like I said, if you're a Toronto fan or a fan of any team and you watch this video, let me know what you think. Drop a comment if you agree or disagree with my thoughts on all this. And overall, if you like the video, like, subscribe, all that great stuff. I really appreciate it. But thank you all once again for watching. If you haven't seen previous videos, please do. I have plenty. And I will be back in a day or so.